we're going to discuss the topic, New Drug Discovery and Development, by Professor Saiminathan Kairohanam. Next slide. Introduction to New Drug Development. Drug development is a long and arduous process, taking anywhere from 7 to 12 years, and sometimes even longer. The United States Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has the responsibility of approving new drugs and monitoring drugs currently in use for adverse or toxic reactions. In 1988, the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, was officially established as an agency of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, CDER, a branch of the FDA, exercises control over whether prescription drugs and OTC drugs may be used for therapy. The CDE and R states their mission as facilitating the availability of safe, effective drugs, keeping unsafe or ineffective drugs off the market, and providing clear, easily understandable drug information for safe and effective use. Any pharmaceutical laboratory, whether private, public, or academic, must solicit FDA approval before marketing a drug. The development of a new drug is divided into the pre-FDA and FDA phases. Pre-FDA phase 1. Drug designed by molecular modeling or discovered in extract. 2. New drug molecule synthesized or produced. 3. In vitro testing. 4. Live animal testing and safety and efficacy studies. FDA phase. 5. Investigational new drug application. IND/FDA submission. 6. Clinical trials phase 1, 2, 3. FDA submission. 7. New drug application. NDA FDA submission. 8. Phase 4 marketing, post-marketing surveillance, FDA approval. 9. Ongoing safety and efficacy study. Next slide. Why does it take so long time for a drug to reach the market? The amount of time spent by the FDA in the review and approval process for a particular drug depends on several checkpoints along with a well-developed and organized plan. An average of 100 months and up to $1 billion in research and development costs to bring a single new drug to market. The Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association estimates that only 1 out of 10,000 chemicals investigated is found to be safe and effective and brought to the pharmacist's shelf. Next slide. 4 phases of new drug development. FDA with the responsibility to regulate new drugs. FDA divide new drug development into 4 stages. Phase 1, preclinical research and development, range 1 to 3 years, average 18 months. Phase 2, clinical research and development, range 2 to 10 years, average 5 years. Phase 3, new drug application, NDA, review, range 2 months to 7 years, average 5 years. Phase 4, post-marketing surveillance. Next slide. Phase 1, preclinical research and development. The preclinical investigation involves extensive laboratory research. The preclinical phase of new drug development begins with the discovery, synthesis, and purification of the drug. 1. Gene or genome sequencing, building a library of gene, protein, genome/proteome, sequences known as DNA fingerprints, or patterns used to understand the disease risk and response to medicines. 2. Target discovery, look for proteins or protein modifications associated with a disease. 3. Target validation, demonstrate that drug effects on the target can provide a therapeutic benefit with an acceptable safety window. 4. Lead discovery, discover leads, compounds that may act on specific genes or proteins involved in a disease, that affect the target gene, protein or pathway. Next slide. Phase 1, preclinical research and development continue. A new drug is initially tested in vitro. In vitro is used to describe work that's performed outside of a living organism. This can include studying cells in culture, isolated cells, tissue slices or organs. Next, the new drug is undergone in vivo study. It involves the testing with living subjects such as animals, plants or whole cells. Animals help us with our scientific understanding of disease and help us to develop new medicines and therapies. Instead, the drug or technique is tested on animals to make sure that it is safe and effective. The preclinical phase of data collection may require 1 to 3 years, although the average length of time is 18 months. Near the end of this phase, the investigator, often a pharmaceutical manufacturer, submits an investigational new drug application (IND) to the FDA, which describes all studies completed to date and the safety and testing planned for human subjects. The FDA must decide based on safety considerations within 30 days whether to allow the clinical study to proceed. Only about 20% of the chemicals tested in the preclinical phase advance to the clinical testing phase. 3. Target validation. Demonstrate that drug effects on the target can provide a therapeutic benefit with an acceptable safety window. 4. Lead discovery. Discover leads, compounds that may act on specific genes or proteins involved in a disease, that affect the target gene, protein or pathway. Next slide. Phase 2. Clinical research and development. Phase 1, 20 to 80 participants, up to several months. Studies the safety of medication and treatment, 70% of success rate. Phase 2, 100 to 300 participants, up to 2 years, studies the efficacy, 33% of success rate. Phase 3, 1000 to 3000 participants, 1 to 4 years, studies the safety, efficacy and dosing, 25 to 30% of success rate. Phase 4, thousands of participants, up to 1 year or more, studies the long-term effectiveness, cost-effectiveness, 70 to 90% of success rate. Next slide. Phase 3, New Drug Application, NDA, Review. When sufficient data have been collected to demonstrate that the experimental drug is both safe and effective, the investigator submits a new drug application, NDA, to the FDA, formally requesting approval to market a new drug for human use. Thousands of pages of NDA data are reviewed by a team of pharmacologists, toxicologists, chemists, physicians and others, as appropriate, who then make a recommendation to the FDA on whether the drug should be approved for use. The average NDA review takes 24 months. Once a drug is approved by the FDA, it is the manufacturer's decision as to when to bring the product to the marketplace. Next slide. Phase 4, Post-marketing surveillance. If the manufacturer decides to market the medicine, the post-marketing surveillance phase, or the fourth phase of drug product development starts. It consists of an ongoing review of the adverse effects of the new drug, as well as periodic inspections of the manufacturing facilities and products. Other studies completed during the fourth phase include identifying other patient populations where the drug may be useful, refining dosing recommendations or exploring potential drug interactions. Healthcare practitioners make a significant contribution to the knowledge of drug safety by reporting adverse effects of drugs to the FDA by using the MedWatch program for voluntary reporting of adverse events and product problems. Next slide. Process of clinical trial. The first step, approved the protocol. Second step, investigator selection. Third step, the approval process. Fourth step, patient recruitment and participation. Fifth step, data entered and reviewed. Sixth step, data analysis. Seventh step, presentation and publication of the report. Eighth step, data filed and registration obtained. Thank you for your attention. Further information, kindly contact profsamiacademy@gmail.com. Disclaimer. This channel does not promote or encourage any illegal activities, and all contents provided by this channel are meant for educational purposes only. Any copyrighted material on these slides is included as fair use for educational purposes only. It will be removed at the request of copyright owners.